Before Ted Lasso and before Disney figured out they could print money with inspirational kids' sports movies, there was one Minneapolis Pee Wee team whacked their way into our hearts. That's right. This week we're covering all three Mighty Ducks films in one jam-packed special episode. Welcome to the No More Late Fees podcast. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Jackie. And we're just two best friends and ex-Blockbuster employees rewatching some of the best and worst movies from the late 90s and early 2000s. This week, we're getting nostalgic about the sports trilogy that shaped so many of our childhoods, especially Danielle, who finally wore me down to cover all three Mighty Ducks movies.
You secretly wanted to do it too.
I did. Get into it. But before we dive in, let's get into some
housekeeping.
I was trying to do a duck too. Quack, 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 Mr. Ducksworth.
The audacity.
If you love the podcast and you want to support us, here are a few ways that you can.
You want to don one of these gorgeous Ducks jerseys, go to our Amazon page at amazon.com/shop/no more late fees podcast and order yours so you could be a part of the fun for this week's episode.
And this week, we are joined by our returning friend, Ron Capalbo. Hey.
Welcome back, Ron.
Yay. This is probably my favorite time ever is being on this podcast over and over again.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Are you just saying that? Do you say that to all your
No,
podcasts?
I feel so much happiness right now. Like it's just I'm like I have a coffee and I kind of wish it was hot chocolate so I could just sit here and just like all kinds of good inside.
Well, if you want to learn more about Ron, make sure you go check out his previous episodes of Basketball and what was the other one, Jackie?
Cold.
Yeah. I try to block it out. It's PTSD.
Yeah.
Not because of Ron, because I just hated it. And Out Cold. Plus, you won't want to miss this week's episode, our bonus episode, where we rank our players in the ultimate duck draft. What are all these three movies about, Jackie?
Mighty Ducks 1. Gordon Bombay drinks, gets a DUI, community service, has to coach the Ducks. He doesn't want to, but then they get his heart. And so then he gets a sponsor so that they can beat his former team and his former asshole coach, the Hawks, and then Ducks fly together.
How about D2? Well, Ron, why did you tell us what D2 is about?
Yeah, so Bombay returns to coach Team USA in the Junior Goodwill Games. The Ducks face international rivals. You know, everyone's favorite rival, Iceland. Deal with corporate sponsor pressures and the coldest villains in the world. The film also introduces the iconic knuckle puck.
And D3, where the Ducks get scholarships to go to Eden Hall Academy, where they clash with the varsity team. They lose Coach Bombay, ? And they face leadership struggles without him being around. And learn that teen hockey drama hits harder than slap shots.
And also Charlie gets good somehow.
Yeah. Charlie becomes the main star, which I'm like, I think in my mind, because I loved him so much, I thought he was. But then I rewatched all of them and I was like, my boy was real shy and quiet.
They lost Jesse Hall, so they just channeled all Jesse's rage into Charlie for some reason. All Jesse's rage and talent went into Charlie in the third movie. And I'm like, this is not the Charlie we know. And I know teenage angst and shit, but he would never walk out on Hans.
Right.
He was mad.
Oh, he was
so mad
angry
from the get-go with Bombay, right? And
yeah.
The movies star, and it's not a complete list, apologies, Emilio Estevez, Joshua Jackson, Eldon Henson, Sean Weiss, Brandon Adams, Vincent LaRusso, Kenan Thompson, Matt Doherty, Marguerite Morel, Justin Wong, and Colombe Jacobson Durstein. Oh, it's
nailed it.
And also, I would like to point out that Fulton and Guy are brothers in real life, and so they had to do like this weird thing with their last names in the
Yeah,
credits. And I think when they were auditioning,
it
so
was
that
when they
like
were
they didn't
auditioning.
know.
So
Oh, they didn't want. Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Eldon Henson went by Eldon Ratliff at the time, who played Fulton Reed, and Garrett Henson, who played Guy Germain, are their brothers. But for some reason, Eldon had to dye his hair brown and change his name to Ratliff professionally in order to secure the part.
Wild.
Still don't know
Yeah.
why.
There's so many like acrobatics they do with the casting in these movies to
Yes.
like for wild reasons. And I was when we were watching D2 and Jan comes up out of nowhere and they explain it though. And I'm like, oh, so we get an explanation on this, but we don't get an explanation on like four of the kids just missing in this one.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Uh,
I was mad.
yeah, definitely.
and then an Icelandic player being on the varsity team, and then
Right. Like we weren't
it's
gonna notice.
Yeah.
it's fine.
It's fine. Gunner, Scooter, whoever
They're
they
just
are.
kids. Kids are stupid. They
And
don't know.
in my like freshman brain, I was like, oh, he must be like a professional hockey player, and so they have to reuse him. No, he's just an actor and happened to be good at
Yeah,
skating. And so they're like, you.
because we
But,
can't find any
right.
other.
He's just a CITYGUS city guys.
That's good.
Well,
Oh man.
D1 was directed by Stephen Herrick, D2 by Sam Weisman, and D3 by Robert Lieberman. It was written by Stephen Brill, who also co-wrote Heavyweights, which, as everyone who has listened to that episode knows, is like the bane of my existence. I hate it so much. And like there are so many actors from this movie that are in Heavyweights, and I'm just like I hate it for them. The mental trauma of being a plus size youth and being put in a movie Heavyweights
Mhm.
and just being verbally berated by adults every day is just
Terrible.
it fills me with so much rage. Anywho, you can watch the Mighty Ducks trilogy, which does not fill me with rage, on Disney Plus. But before we start, let's get into our ratings rewind.
So, you know the drill. Before we get into the movie, we'll reveal the rating our Y2K versions of ourselves would give. Then at the end, we'll see if our current selves agree with our initial rating. Our scale consists of would buy it again,
The best would play on repeat.
5 day rental,
Would watch again.
2 day rental,
It's okay, but nothing to write home about.
and same day rental.
Give it the knuckle puck. It's trash.
Ron, we'll start with you.
So my Y2K self or my 1992 self through 2000 self would probably give it a would buy it again. I think this is an iconic trilogy. I Gwen was half watching it with me while she was like playing a video game, and I kept going like, "Oh, this," and I would rewind it, and I'm like, I used to do this as a kid. Like the amount of times that I emulated things going on in these movies, it's probably has a lot to do with who I am today. So yeah.
Jackie?
Trilogy as a whole, would buy it. I still have it. I forgot to grab my VHS. I was going to hold it up proudly and show it. But I will say D2 is far and above my favorite. And I know almost every line to that movie.
Agreed.
It's seared into the noggin.
There's no doubt in my mind that this is a would buy. No doubt. Like, yes, rewatching it, I'm like, that was corny. But I was sitting in my bed, kicking my feet, giggling
Yeah.
like an idiot about
Yeah.
some of this shit. Like, even just it being corny, like, Danielle, you were so stupid, girl. Just laughing, having the time of my life. And I don't know, something about these movies just imprinted on me. But you're right, Jackie, the second one was like something else because I don't know if they put crack in it or what, but Just
It was
my,
magic.
it was my
It
quick
was
story.
ridiculous too. And
It
I loved
was.
it. I loved every minute of it.
Oh, it's so
I'm gonna
good.
poke holes in this
Oh yeah.
Oh
for
yeah.
sure because I have questions, and I think I had questions then, but I was just like, I'll eat it up.
Whatever.
But my aunt got married when this movie came out, and her wedding, her reception was no kids. So I think I went to the actual wedding, and then my godmother took me and my cousins, which I was psyched about because I never really got, like, my cousins never lived near me, so it was just really cool. And my godmother is literally my favorite person. So she took us to see the movie, and you just have memories that you don't know why it was like so special to you, but that seeing that movie, top hands down, best time ever. Love this movie so much. And I think like obviously as a young girl you have all these crushes, but like this, The Sandlot, like we were just little giants, prime time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
It's a great
definitely.
time.
I will
And
say, go ahead.
okay.
Sorry.
You like Rookie of the Year, right, Jackie?
Yeah.
Was that one? Because
Angels in
I
the Outfield, Rookie of the Year, Little
Yeah.
Giants.
I
Sandlot was
like
like okay, but it wasn't in like my top echelon.
Mm.
what? Girl, you crazy. That is the best one. The best. I mean, they even made this movie because that's how well Sandlot did.
I get it. I just the heart wants what it wants, Danielle.
I
Oh,
likes what I likes.
I like what was the other one? Little Big League. That was
Yes.
That
mine.
was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will tell you my tale of woe when it came to D3. So somehow my sister went and saw it in the theater, but I didn't go. And she came home, and the first words out of her mouth were, Hans dies. And it was a dagger to the heart. And so as soon as it came out on VHS, I made my mom buy it, and I sat very much like Charlie, full of teenage rage and angst. And I just sat and like ugly cried. I remember being sitting on the floor in my mom's bedroom in front of her giant console TV and just like weeping because Hans was no longer with us.
Yeah. That
Still
wasn't
remember
nice,
that. I
Heather.
wonder if Heather remembers that. I'm gonna text her right now.
Well, let's talk about box office for the trilogy. So for D1, they had a budget of $10 million. No one on the set of this movie, Emilio Estevez especially, was like, ain't going nowhere.
I don't think he wanted it to go anywhere, but
Yeah, he probably didn't. And we'll learn more about that. So this movie had a budget of $10 million. And this is during a very dark time in Disney where they did a lot of movies where it would never fit the parameters of what Disney is
Mhm.
now. Like Eisner was doing what greenlighting a lot of shit because obviously he's a drunkard given children to be on ice with. I don't
Yeah.
know. So
That's perfect.
worldwide gross 50.7 million. So it exceeded expectations. But then when we got to D2, which is shocking. Oh no, it's not shocking. When we get to D2, you have $15 million, so they gave it an extra 5 million. And this time it made $54.9 million. And I kind of feel like D3 could have just gone straight to DVD
Mm-hmm.
because they put 21 millions, the most money out of all the films into this movie, and it grossed 22.9 million. So it really they didn't really recoup their money.
Which I don't know where the money went. Probably to the actors
Yeah.
after they like, because by this time wasn't what's his name, Charlie Conway. I just know that, but
Joshua
Joshua
Jackson.
Jackson. Thank you. He was like doing
He
other stuff, right?
He was, but he hadn't fully transitioned. He was about to, like he was trying to. He was doing other
Okay,
little movies here and there, but he hadn't like he
done
didn't
his
hit
thing.
Dawson's
Yeah, yeah,
Creek
yeah.
yet.
Okay,
And
all
that's
right.
when I think really
His
tipped him
look
over.
did. Like you can, I can.
Yeah.
I'm looking at your background right now, and you see the kid on the left, and you see the guy on the right, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, movie star.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He got tall in the third one.
And like his number one, I don't know what his hair is doing in the first two movies, and
It's
it
being a
drives me
little kid,
bonkers.
Jackie.
We're not doing this. We're
And then
just
he just
not.
has a baby face in like the first one, definitely. And then he starts to like fill out
Turn
a
into
little
a
bit in two,
man.
but then three is just like, oh.
Well, I'm
Charlotte Conway.
a trendcaster because I knew immediately. No doubt in my mind. So the franchise started because Disney execs wanted a kids sports movie to compete with The Sandlot and the wave of that. The original script was darker and more adult, so Disney lightened the tone. The fact that this was a lightened tone version, I don't even know what to say. And obviously had a bunch of breakout stars from it. Reader, Reader, Roger Ebert. I can't find his rating for D2. All I could find was the Mighty Ducks and D3. He gave the Mighty Ducks 2 stars, and he said, The Mighty Ducks is the kind of movie that might have been written by a computer program. Look at him projecting AI.
AI, right?
It tells a story that has been told time and time again about the misfit coach who's handed a team of kids who are losers and turns them into winners while redeeming himself. And as for D3, he gave it 1 star, saying The Mighty Ducks is the first movie title I've seen that correctly predicts its grade on Entertainment Weekly's movie report card, AD. The Mighty Ducks, Minnesota's underdog kid hockey team, are back again in a third version of more or less the same story. Evil, petty, vindictive, mean-spirited, cheating, lying snobs try to stop them. But the Ducks, after first dealing with cockiness, infighting, pride, anger, and a new coach, redeem themselves in the big match.
I found something he said about D2. I don't have stars, but it says, okay, so this was on the episode of Jimmy Hollywood, Thumbelina, The House of Spirits, Major League 2, and D2, The Mighty Ducks. And he said, it's a formula picture with a lot of energy, but I give it a marginal thumbs down. Oh, this is a Siskel and Ebert review. Certainly not as bad as Major League 2. And then Siskel replies, you know what? It's the best film on this show, which isn't saying a lot.
First off, why are we shitting on Major League 2?
Oh
So,
boy. Well,
there we are.
yeah.
Were the 90s just the time of trilogies? Because I feel like so many tried to do it, and I think maybe it's just the age that we were in when we were just, wanting that sequel at least, right? We always wanted to know what these characters that we were like falling in love with were doing. And so the sequel would come out and we loved it so much because we wanted to find out what our friends were doing, right? We wanted to find out what these people were doing. And people like adults seem to like not like it as much, at least in my like memory, where they're like sequel. And then I think when D3 came out was when we were starting to get to an age where it was like rubbing off on us, where it was like not cool to like sequels and trilogies because they were going to be bad. And I wonder if that's why it did so bad, because like kids were just like, ugh, another one. Though I saw it in theaters, so yeah.
I mean, I was still obsessed. I still loved it.
Mhm.
I just knew I didn't love it as much.
It
And I
didn't
don't
make
know.
sense in the context of like, okay, the first movie is obviously them getting their shit together and becoming a team. D2 is like they've already peaked and now they're going to the
now we're
Junior
going
Goodwill
back.
games and now we're just going to high school.
It was like the plots of them all, like the main like moral of the story behind them were like the first one was like have fun, it's just a game. And the second one was like remember your roots, like where you come from. And then the third one was like defense. I'm the trash man, pick up garbage. And like you're like, well, I don't know. It kind of misses what we're trying to do.
I was saying this to Jackie that I felt like the trajectory was out of order because I kind of feel like it would have made sense if they went from Pee Wee to like a high school league at school.
Or junior high, right?
Or
Like,
right.
It could have been, yeah.
And then the Junior Olympic, well, actually it's the Goodwill Games. So I'm thinking that trajectory would have made sense. But also when you think about it, it's not that bad of a trajectory because if you think about it, like gymnastics, for example, when they go to the Olympics, they're still so young and then they still have to go to college level and it's still pretty difficult. Like it's a difficult transition.
Well, it's in reality, you're right. It is. I remember playing in the Junior Olympics for baseball when I was 12.
And
So it was like eighth grade.
in our midst.
Yeah,
We
but
have
it
an
was
Olympian on the
they just really oversold it. I wonder too if like remembering D3 being so like they were trying to grow up with the kids that watch these movies, and so the movies changed in style, and it was like this is more adult. It's like now it's like teen movie compared to like a kids movie,
Right.
and I wonder too if I don't know many teen movies, especially sports movies, that like actually get the like teen experience down because it's all being made by adults that are kind of telling us how we're like they're like, oh, this is how you guys feel about stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
is it? I don't know. So
Yeah. I mean, I think Charlie's rage and stuff and not wanting change, like everything was changing around him. He's
right,
changing. His coach is gone. And we get a footnote in the second movie that his mom, who was
remarried, yeah.
remarried, which I was like trying to figure out the timeline on the first and the
I
second
was
movie
too.
because
It
they,
felt weird.
yeah, because it's literally supposed to be the next year, right?
Like,
And I'm
yes,
like,
and because he said he was in the minors for a year.
yeah,
And so there's a couple things that are, when we talk about poking holes, right? It says, I think he was in the minors for a little over a year, but then the Hawks players, when they like almost fight or when they almost like, trip them with
hmm
the string, the Hawks players say, I can't believe they beat us last year. So they're obviously not in Pee Wee anymore. And so maybe that's what it is, that like Pee Wee's over and
yeah.
that's why they aren't playing. But it does seem like over a year. And, talking with Gwen through this, because I discuss everything with Gwen, it's like, I guess if you're a single mom and looking for some, like, a stepfather or some, I don't know, especially in that time, I don't think a year is out of the question to get remarried. I'd even say, like, 6 to 8 months at that age, if you know what you want, is not terrible either. Not something I would do, but I could see that happening. I know a lot of kids that I grew up with had situations like that where they had their moms remarry within a year. So I guess it's not weird,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
I
my
just,
mom and my stepdad got married pretty fast, so
yeah. So it's yeah.
but didn't Coach Bombay and Charlie's mom kiss at the end?
Yeah.
yeah.
So
But
was she just
yeah.
dating multiple people at that
Well,
point?
she
Look,
mentioned
she's a hot girl, okay, city girl.
he knows he's going to the minors. He says he didn't keep in touch. We're talking about a year. I mean, imagine if you were dating somebody that did that and then you didn't talk to him for like a month. I think you'd move on. And I
Yeah,
think they were just kind of like over it. He also kisses, which I didn't remember, but he goes on that date in D2. I know we're jumping with the
the
Icelandic.
Icelandic lady, yeah.
And then when he comes back with the duck call, he kisses the teacher on the cheek, sure, but like there's like implied romance to the rest of that movie.
Yeah.
They're like
They were
hugging. And I'm like, where
holding
did that come
hands.
from?
They were holding hands on the ice when they were playing around.
I think they just wanted people to make out in that movie. That was kind of like what it is. They're just like, or maybe it's in like Emilio Estevez's thing. He's like, I need to get some in every movie I'm in because
I think
who
they
you
just
got?
try to do that for like there's always some like a
Right? Yeah.
female character can't
Can't
live
exist.
within her own like
Yeah.
means there she has to be play the girlfriend, the love interest, whatever,
The
which is
same in like Julie and Connie both have to be flirted with or be in a relationship or it's
yeah.
interesting.
Well, before we get into the cast and crew, let's just hear a message from our pad pals.
Hi, listeners. It's Mark from the Release Date Rewind podcast, now on the Straw Hut Media Network. On each episode of my show, I invite a different friend or two to take a trip down memory lane with me and rewatch movies we love. And occasionally, TV shows too. All genres, big budget, low budget, award winners, cult classics, everything. And we're not just talking about any random movie. We nerd out about movies that are celebrating milestone anniversaries of release. So think the big ones like 20th anniversary, 25th, 30th, 40th, 50th, and so on. Learn some trivia and get nostalgic with us while listening to Release Date Rewind wherever you get your podcasts.
All let's see. There's three movies. There's a lot of, I'm sure we're missing a whole bunch, but starting with my boy, Joshua Jackson.
Hmm.
Can you believe that he was not the first choice for Charlie Conway?
What?
Who was?
I was shooketh. I just don't understand. What do you mean? What are you saying? Apparently, Jake Gyllenhaal got the role. He couldn't do it. His parents wouldn't let him. So, unfortunately for the casting department, they had to find someone else, and that's how Joshua Jackson got the role.
Hmm.
But Leonardo DiCaprio also tried out for the main role, but he lost the part to Joshua Jackson, unlike Gyllenhaal, who got the role and couldn't play it. I love that for Joshua.
I was gonna say I didn't need another movie with Leonardo DiCaprio.
I couldn't, I don't know. I couldn't see him.
I
don't
could see
wanna say
Jake
this-
Gyllenhaal.
Yes, but
Joshua
not.
had the heart. Like he
Yeah.
had the sensitive sensibility of like, let's keep the team together, and I just want everyone to be successful and work hard and
He had an innocence about him, and
yes.
I think Leonardo would have killed it. He would have done it. Like, it's
Sure.
not like he wouldn't have done it, but he would have never been in the other two movies.
Mm-mm.
Or it would have went a different direction, right? Like you got once you have the first one, like the second and the third one are now written for the characters. And
Yeah.
so they may have went a different way and we may have had, Leonardo DiCaprio being the like Banks towards the end.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure.
It wouldn't have been Charlie giving up his spot to Russ.
No. I didn't understand that as a kid. I was like, what? Why? I also thought in my head too that like there were better options, like because as a
Like
kid I
sit
started
Goldberg at
Yeah.
that. Like, what are we
the amount
talking
of
about?
times I feel like we could have a whole episode on how Goldberg shouldn't be on the team by the third movie, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Can we, like, before, I know we're talking about like casting, but I just want to talk about work ethic. From the first to the second movie, we learned that these motherfuckers have not been doing nothing. You notice so in the beginning of that movie, Hans is gone, his brother is there, which I was confused.
Jan.
Jans
Jan
was
and
there.
Hans, yeah.
Right. So Jans, they just get another old man, and he gives him this like duck whistle. I don't know what they call it. And Coach Bombay he
Knows
finds
what to do with it. Knows
Right.
what
Yeah.
to do with it right
He's
off.
like, I'm gonna
Perfect.
go get my crew. But he outsources it because he don't
Yeah.
do nothing. He gives it
Like-
to Charlie. So I'm like, oh, y'all are just sharing whistles? Okay. Charlie goes, finds his crew. Everybody's got a job, making out, or about to make out, doing all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
What's Banks doing? What's Banks doing? He practices.
That's why he's the best.
Well, but
And-
also he doesn't have to have a job. He has
That's
time
true.
to practice.
Privilege right there.
Girl, some of them weren't working.
I mean, Guy and
Yeah.
Connie were definitely not. They were
Yes.
working.
Oh, they were working.
And so and then Fulton just hiding behind those kayaks sounded like, "Ugh." Like, I'm just like, what is, because my question was, like you said, the Hawks tied this string to try to get, but we never see what happens with that. Like, we don't see them avoid it. Or
No,
I know,
Fulton ties them up with the string. He
Oh,
goes
yeah.
and
Oh,
gets it. He unties it and ties the Hawks up with it.
but they're watching the string. So how does he go take the string without them seeing it?
I think he probably knocks them out first, and then
Yes.
after they
I
can
think
tie
he had the string that they like after they cut it, whatever was left, he wrapped it up. And I think
Could be.
he calls them like, "Hey, dudes," and they're laughing. I think they avoided it, but
This
that
is
was-
this is gonna be the second Harry Potter reference we make in this episode. But do you think that Harry Potter took the like almost? I mean, really, they just put capes on these kids, but
Yes.
the Hawks like goons are literally like Slytherin. Like the way
Yes.
they act and the way they're just like their attitude. Like bullies just have not evolved over
No.
time, right? It's just this is who bullies are, and they're all in all three of these movies. It's like the same bullies, the
Hmm.
same ones that are just like, I'm gonna go get. Except I will say, the Icelandic kid at the end of two does kind of redeem himself by like talking back to his coach and being
That's how
like,
he
"Fuck
got his
you,"
part in the third movie.
right?
Hmm.
He learned his
Uh,
lesson.
but just the work ethic in general, like they don't practice. And what my problem with D2 was, because I've seen Miracle, which is one of my other favorite hockey movies. Usually, if you're having something like this, you don't just take one team that won, because
There's no
they maybe,
tryouts.
I think they won
Yeah.
states. There's a whole fucking country of hockey players.
Yeah.
And
Like
they're
the
not
Ducks from
good.
Minnesota.
Right.
They're
They're
not
not
good
good.
either.
They're
No.
not
Like you,
practicing.
anybody that like would be like, hey, they got lucky. Okay, they're fun, but they are nowhere near the best hockey players in this country.
No.
And it's and then they give them a couple players who also aren't really good at hockey. They
Yeah,
all have like a thing,
the
except
best
Julie.
player on that team, like the non-Ducks team, is Julie. And
Right.
she
Who
doesn't
plays
even get to
one play.
play because Goldberg gets to play, who is far inferior than Julie.
Which is
The,
weird. Like to have her as a backup makes no sense. I mean, he does well. Like when you're
in
watching
the
the movie in the
second
second
movie,
movie, he does do
yeah, I
well.
don't
He's not,
remember it, but
but
when I watched it, I was like, "Oh, okay."
oh
They
yeah,
made a point to show him making saves because I think
yeah.
they realized in the first one. I was watching the first one, and I was like, "This dude's made one or two saves in the first movie, and it was one that was hit at his chest, and the other one hit off his arm when he was standing there. The rest of the time, he's not even in the net." He
Right.
like the amount of times someone just moves their stick one way and he like dives out of the
Yeah.
way and they're just like eat.
Well,
Like
and like Gordon ties him to the goal to desensitize him from getting pucks shot at him. And Gordon's just like, here, guys, shoot at Goldberg and try to hit him as much as you can. I was like, feel like this is bordering on child abuse and we
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing this.
he was
Not in
in
the
heavyweights
slightest.
too, right?
Yes.
Yes.
All of this explains a whole lot as to what happened to
Yes.
this guy when he became an adult. Like
Well, he just like I just saw an interview to him talking about, because there's been a conversation about one of the actors from the Nickelodeon TV show called
Mhm.
Ned's Declassified, who has been seen homeless, strung out from
mm,
drugs. And as we know, Sean Weiss he has recovered from drug
yeah.
addiction and has come a long way. He was actually talking about his relationship with his mother and how like she purposely made him overweight so he could get roles of overweight kids. So like that ties into a lot of the stuff, like why he even started doing drugs. So it's just when you hear that, you're like, fuck, like,
Yeah.
and of course, in these roles, especially heavyweights, you just see him being like ridiculed with these jokes about him being overweight, which really sucks.
I don't know the reason behind this, and maybe it's just the look he has or the fact that I watched Mighty Ducks so many times, but hearing what happened to him was so shocking because in my brain, I swear I knew he was an adult actor and
Mhm.
that he kind of looked the same. I don't know if my brain just kind of made it as like, oh, I've seen something about him recently and he's doing something and he looks the same. I don't know what it was,
Yeah.
if it was just imprinted in my mind, but it was so shocking to see him, and it all does make sense, and it's why so many of these 90s kid actors have had these terrible stories that we hear about, and why now there's so much protection for it. Gwen
Yes.
talks about it all the time. I mean, even us, Gwen does social media stuff and commercial acting, and now we have a 1.5-year old, and some people think it's weird, but like, we don't post pictures of her and we're not going to push her into acting unless she's
Mhm.
like in love with it kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's a scary thing because of what people have gone through, and you're like, I don't, you can really mess up someone's brain being
I don't think it's
that young
weird.
and undeveloped.
I don't think it's weird at all. I honestly think it's absolutely insane I try my best. Like every now and again I will, but I really try not
Yeah.
to post any children in my life on my personal page. Even though my page is private, no, like and a lot of cybersecurity people talk about this. A lot of people
Yeah.
who are in these investigations are like, do not put your child on the internet. These
Mhm.
people are so sick and so disgusting. Like if you really knew, like when we talk about the files being released and whatever. I think all that's going to expose is how deep and how disgusting all this tracks back to every industry that you could think of. Politics, I think of the guy Bug from Little
Okay.
Rascals. And when during COVID, he came out and talked about how he was targeted on the set of that movie by, like, it's not even, some of it is not even like a big person on the set. It's like craft
Hair and
service
makeup. Yeah,
guy
yeah,
or
yeah.
some
Right.
fucking weird. But to say that it's an environment that fosters it, all these people, all the way at the top, know that some of these people have been charged. And I think yet that any of these cases should not be sealed.
Mhm.
I think they could seal the child's name, but
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
the adult who perpetrated should be available and well known.
yeah.
You shouldn't be fired from Disney from hurting a child's and then be put on
Look at the
Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon shit.
Yeah.
But
The Nickelodeon documentary was so disturbing.
but it's worse. That's what's crazy. Like
Yeah.
that's just what they let us know.
That's what we found out, right? To
Yeah.
like let you go like, oh, but yeah.
But you have to look at the environment. It fosters this. And
Totally.
I think during this time, it makes me very suspicious of so many people. I
Mhm.
look at any director, producer who made a lot of kids' movies, I'm like, I don't know about you. I
Mhm.
Yeah,
just,
right.
I think
Look, you're like,
automatically,
I'm just saying, I'm starting off,
I,
a
I mean, because
little,
yeah, some people are like, oh, I have children, so I wanted to make children's movies. But like some people, I'm like,
yeah.
something ain't right.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that. We're gonna know. We're like there you can't hold this stuff back for so long. But if you have
Especially now that
children,
these kids are adults
yeah.
and they're speaking their truth and calling
Yeah.
Mhm.
people out.
And it's really sad. Like we love these movies and we love these stars and to see how much that they've gone through, like my heart really goes out to them. I love seeing like the guys from The Sandlot and even from this movie that they're still connected and
Mhm.
close. But it also makes sense that so many of them's dropped out of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like, and that I think that has a lot to do with parents too. So,
Well, even like Luis Mendoza, I think other than like cameos, he hasn't done anything since like D3.
yeah, he stopped. He didn't want to be in Hollywood anymore. He's a firefighter now, but he too had some like it's hard because I love him from my childhood, right? And so
Mhm.
like posting videos about him, I will get comments, and I had to look into that there was like an altercation where I believe they physically assaulted someone, him and his firefighter buddies or something. I don't know all the
Mm.
details, but I would definitely look into it if you're curious. So people have a lot of bad things to say
Interesting.
about him, but he never does the Sandlot reunions. I think he's done one and that's it. Like you don't ever see him, and I don't ever see him. The Mighty Ducks kids do reunions a ton too, and I
Yeah,
don't
they
see him
recently
ever.
did. It was it like 25 years or something or
Yeah, they
yeah.
come together. So go ahead.
The other duck that didn't need to be on the team was Averman.
Yeah.
From
Well,
a hockey standpoint, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
correct.
I mean, I
He,
get he was the comic relief, but once we had Russ, we really didn't even need Averman
but was
anymore.
he the comic relief? I never felt like his things
His lines are
landed.
stuck in my head all the time, though.
Really? Okay, well
Yeah.
there's a lid for every pot. So
I mean, they
I'll
were
leave
the
it at
cheesy.
that.
I think what it was is they were the cheesy like adult lines. Like what did he say in? Oh, in the second one, he's the one that says like it was like, haven't you guys been practicing? He's like, I knew we forgot something. Like that line
Yeah.
is pretty iconic. Like he delivered some of the iconic lines, but yeah, I
Yeah.
guess technically the kid's not funny. It was probably the writing slash just the moments that he was given. But
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it goes back to, okay, so they learn in the second movie that they don't practice. Then they do it again. So that it's like they have no work ethic, which makes no fucking sense. Again,
Yeah.
you don't do like tryouts for the entire country to get the best of the best to play for USA. I don't understand that. But they just, and then you also, the people picking Teams USA is a sponsor
Yeah.
because they come up to Gordon because he has hurt himself in the minor leagues, so close to the major leagues, supposedly.
He did not
He's
hurt himself. Someone
right, someone hurt
slapped
him.
him
Did
in
the
the
same
knee
thing.
with
There are so many people in these movies just taking people's arms and knees out
Right.
constantly.
So, yeah, they don't practice. Then they get to the third movie. And you know what? I would be pretty pissed at all these kids. I would give them the scholarship, but they would have to try out.
Yeah.
Like, you just give the whole team, and then all the other kids who could be
The one guy said his
JV.
brother
Yeah.
like wasn't able to like literally just wasn't able to try out for the team because of this. Is
Yeah. I would be
yeah,
pissed too.
fuck you. Fuck them kids. Like
Yeah.
that's
But I do love like that all the kids were like when Charlie started acting out, bitch, this is a scholarship. My mama told me I'm not ruining my
Yeah.
academic
Yeah.
career. You wildin'.
Even Fulton was like, man, hockey's not forever.
Right?
yeah. And he's like, but the Ducks, and you're like, wow, dude, wow.
We
What
can
else
be
do we
ducks
have?
and get an education too.
Right.
So let's start with the first movie, just
Okay.
the highlights. So, you know,
Oh.
when you're young, you just think everyone in movies is like old if they're a grown up.
Yeah.
The first movie. And I'm
Wait,
like,
and-
No, he's
wait,
in the second
second
movie he's
movie, he's
29.
29.
oh, okay.
So he's got
So
to be
he's
like
even
28.
younger. So he's done law school, become a hotshot lawyer, and then immediately gets a DUI and like
It's like his
potentially derails his.
third DUI
Yeah.
too.
Gordon, what are we doing? And why are we taking a limousine on the ice? That
That always tripped me out. First and foremost, when he gets pulled over, he's like, "Oh, that's not good." Like, my dude. What?
Also,
what are
just
we
drinking
even-
by himself, like this is alcoholism, which
Yes.
I like. Let's
And
put
it's-
him in charge of kids.
Yeah.
And it's so unrealistic that it doesn't come back again.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
and that he doesn't go
yes
through
and
withdrawals
no.
or nothing.
I will say that I know of people that have relatives that are either in, they're either police officers or judges or lawyers in certain areas where you can do some dumb shit and you just get to make it go away. So I
Yeah.
think especially in the 90s that was much more prevalent. So
Oh
It's
no, I
not
mean his
him, but it's-
alcoholism, like that,
oh, just
like
he
you're
just doesn't drink
cured.
anymore.
Right?
Yeah,
Like
that's
I
fair.
don't think that. And what are you? So the demons, I always thought the demons were that he lost that Pee Wee game.
Mhm.
But rewatching this again, he does say that it's because his dad died that same year, so he associates those two things
Yeah,
together.
which is
Yeah.
pretty good writing.
Yeah. Because I'm like, bitch, get over it. You lost the Pee Wee game. Like it's not that serious, but now I
Yeah.
get it.
I also wrote this down, and I don't know if we're going to go back to it, but I did a little bit of math. And it looks like they play about 12 games in a season. Like Pee Wee, that makes sense for about that. So he was told by Hans. Hans is the first movie, right? It's
Yep.
Hans and then Jans and Hans. Hans says, "You scored 198 goals that season."
I think
What the fuck?
I think it's the podcast Confused Breakfast. They talk about that because they're like, that's crazy talk.
That's 16 and a half goals a game. And I have so many comments on just that where it's just like
Maybe
this
it's
kid
just like as he was practicing on the ice and Hans was just counting anything that went into the goal. Whether there was a goalie, whether there was a
because
game
also
going on.
they also then lost to the Hawks, right? The first time 17-0. Okay. And the coach of the Hawks tells Banks that he set a record, which would be a lie then if Bombay was scoring 16 and a half a game. He had obviously scored 17 one of those games.
It's about 14. They said the math is roughly 14 goals per game, an
Okay.
astronomical feat.
Yeah, so then I must have missed. It might be 13 games, but it is so insane. He might be the greatest athlete on the planet.
That's what they were saying. He's like the best hockey player because, like, also you haven't played hockey since you were 9, 10, and then you're going into the minor leagues
That
after
too. Yeah.
almost
He quit
15.
hockey.
He's like,
After that,
okay.
he was like 10 in 1973. And we're talking now he's 28. And so it's been 18 years because he quit hockey,
Right.
which might just speak to how good he really was. But I don't know. It's just like I get it, man. I
Well,
get it, right? You're trying to just make it be like he was so good, and it's like maybe do a little bit of math, right?
Well, and I mean, I don't pretend to be like the biggest hockey fan, but I've been to a game and typically like there aren't very many goals scored on most
Right.
games.
Pee-wee, Little League, like it could be different, right?
Right.
Because there's gonna be teams like the Ducks, right? Or at the time, District 5 before the Ducks, and you're gonna beat up on them. And I remember in Pee-wee, like the disparity between the good teams and the bad teams, there's a lot. So
Yeah.
you might put up some goals, sure. But like, wow.
14 a game. And it probably could have been more, like you said.
Yeah.
There's a scene where he bumps into the Minnesota North Star, was it Basil McRae? And he says that Bombay used to rule in Pee Wee. Like big NHL stars are like, yo, Bombay,
This
no?
dude. Like,
Could have
I.
gone all the way.
And
the
then he just goes, I'll get you a tryout, which that doesn't happen. Like, none of that is
Right?
real. And
Back in the day, 14 a game.
yeah. It's crazy. It's pretty crazy. And then
What?
to like, which then I get it, right? If you miss that shot, like, but it's so wild to me, right? Because and then I wonder too, does he actually remember the coach saying that to him, or is it like this flashback and we're just made to believe a kid's memory is just like more intense? Because he says, you missed this shot, you're not just letting me down, you're letting your whole team down too. Like, oh my God, so dramatic. Like, that's insane. And that,
I believe it.
the
He was
70s, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, that guy was a dick.
Yeah.
But would he
He was-
still be a coach that much longer?
Yeah, like 18 years later, you still coach?
I mean, to be fair, my best friend Liz, her dance teacher was Miss Gentry, and I remember her being like Golden Girl old when I was in kindergarten, and she was still teaching when we were grown-ups.
Oh,
So,
well, yeah.
I mean, if you're a lifer, you're a lifer.
Yeah.
Also,
It's-
how are you going to win 17 seasons in a row, and then this dude comes and wins one, and he's asked to be the coach of the junior
Yes.
Olympic hockey team? Like, why
Right.
not look and be like, this dude wins? Like, he's never been offered anything else?
Well, that's because not Hans, Hans's brother. Damn, I'm never gonna
Oh, yeah,
remember
yeah.
his name.
Jan.
What is it?
Jan.
Jan, he went to his supplier because he supplied all of Minnesota.
Right.
And he was like, yo, I got somebody for you.
Yeah,
But I also
okay.
think it was like from a marketing perspective, I will say this. I don't know
The
about the rest of the
Minnesota
country,
Miracle.
but the fact, yeah, that he was about to make it to the NHL, that he won his Pee Wee League. He's a legend, 198. Come on. So and then like
And I love how
looks-
that everyone knows who he is too. Like
Right.
this little Minnesota town has made like national news, and they're like,
maybe,
oh,
maybe in the
That
hockey
was-
world.
That was the wildest part is like all the like newspaper spin-ins. I'm like, no one cares about
Right.
DT5 hockey.
Well, I don't want to say nobody because there are publications for this kind of stuff.
But
I don't know how big it is.
I wouldn't assume Pee-wee.
I wouldn't
was-
even soon the Junior Olympics. Like, let's be real. Like,
I
it's not
was-
going to make.
I was trying to pause. There was a part where after I think they beat Trinidad and Tobago or something.
That was the
But
first,
there's a newspaper article and it says black coaches, and I couldn't see the rest. I was like, what? Trying to go back, and I could not read it. So if anybody can freeze frame and tell me what that said, let me know.
But
That's
it happened
funny.
in the first movie, Danielle. Like Pee
Yeah.
Wee hockey publication.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine.
Like,
Look,
I'm
I'm
like,
telling you, there is a publication, especially back then when we didn't have the internet. There's a publication for anything that you could think of. I, I mean, even the town probably had something.
Yeah,
So
it might have been
I'll
one of
let
the
that be.
like.
Yeah,
That's fair.
but could you imagine Bill Murray as Coach Bombay?
no. I could
'Cause he was
imagine him as the
considered.
Hawks coach.
Yeah,
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, he was more of the villain.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, what else happens? So from the transition from the first movie to the second movie, we lose a few players. Let's see if we can name them.
Timmy and Tammy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We lose. We don't.
Oh, the one kid with the leather jacket too.
Peter,
Peter.
Yeah.
who was
Which
funnier
he-
than Averman.
Yeah, he was great.
We also lose Jesse's brother.
Which also not discussed whatsoever. Nobody
Who
talks about
is-
any of these kids.
Jesse
Who is-
Smollett.
Yes, Jussie Smollett
Oh,
from
no way.
yeah. And I don't know why he didn't come back, but the reasoning, I guess, was that many of the original ducks from the first movie were left out because in the sequel, the producers wanted characters with bigger, funnier personalities. And according to Joshua Jackson in an interview with Time magazine, he was almost recast. That apparently the second director was really trying to get rid of his character or recast it, which would have been so weird because people like me would have been like, what the fuck is this? It would have had to be someone astronomical to replace Joshua Jackson.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they didn't come back. Which
Oh.
Danny, that would have been weird. Like he would have been good from Pete and Pete.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
And-
lot of yeah.
Also, Carp.
Yes. Oh, that
Aaron.
Schwartz,
Yes.
who was in Heavyweights.
Yes.
Who, by
Why
the
am I
way,
blanking?
if you see him now, talk about a glow up. He was also in Gossip Girl.
He never long bottomed for sure.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. That the original Neville Longbottom glow up came from Aaron Schwartz for
Yes.
sure.
God, I don't even remember this kid.
Well, look, you don't remember Carp?
No, why am I blanking on who this is?
I feel like he had a bigger role.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, now I know. Remember? Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
Remember when they
It's
were
because
reading
I looked at the
like
actor now and I'm like, I don't know who the hell that is.
right? Oh man.
Gosh, they really messed up,
Yeah.
But it was like the most obvious thing, and I think even as a kid, just being like, where's half the team, and why are we not talking about it?
Yeah, we're just
You could
I
have
would've-
literally just put Jan in there, and I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
Or
But-
made it odds.
But Jesse, like, I think it would have been totally fine that they said, like, the fact that his dad wasn't there again,
Mhm.
but he could have said, well, my brother doesn't want to play hockey anymore. He wants to play a
Yeah.
different sport. That would have
Yeah.
made totally sense.
You could
It
have had
would've
a line in there where it's
Right.
just like some kids stop playing hockey.
Yeah.
I don't know, like
Or he got hurt, so he couldn't come.
like
something.
10
Yeah.
seconds of a scene where someone says something, just so we don't feel like you guys are,
Yeah.
I'm
The-
pretty sure all these kids were in there. Anyway.
Yeah. The character of Tammy Duncan, the figure skater. So, like, they got rid of her and then brought in another character that did figure skating. I was happy for the representation
Sure, yeah.
of, expanding that. But, and I guess they were like, oh, we can only have 2 girls on the team. Is that what happened?
The whole time, all 3 movies, I'm like, okay, like they're having conversation in these movies that are important, like anyone can play hockey. There's
Yeah.
diversity on the team. Even in the last one where they want to rename the Warriors because it's
It's offensive.
It's offensive, yeah.
offensive to Native Americans. Like all of these conversations, I'm like, yes. And then they like do shit. I'm like, oh, well, like we were so close to like this movie being so like ahead of its time. And then like, yeah. And then we're only allowed to have 2 girls on the team. And then are constantly, one is already hooking up with someone on the team. And the other one,
Okay, sorry.
and then Julia the cat is just getting hit on by the other hockey players. I'm like,
I don't think, okay, I will say this. I'm not mad at it. Like I think we could look at it now and say, okay, they only had 2 girls on the team, but they had 2 girls on the team.
Yeah.
In the 90s,
I really
Yeah.
I really don't
I mean-
think some of the things were that egregious. And them having boys interact with them was realistic because in real life, as they're shooting this movie, Margaret, is that her name? Marguerite?
Yeah.
Marguerite.
She talks about how she might have kissed like 3 or 5 or more of the boys on the set. Like this is the prime time for them to
Oh, yeah.
kind of start
'Cause-
liking boys and girls. So I don't think it's that crazy. And I do think her character, Connie, can stand on her own. And I like that scene in D2, which was super weird to me because why isn't it not Guy that does this, but the guy from the cowboy from
yeah.
Austin?
Just so he could say where I come from, we
he-
respect women or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
But he like lassos her, and because she's like in a corner trying to, I'm sure there's a real hockey term for this, and he comes after her, this other
Which
player
took
from
forever.
Iceland. It
That
did.
was the weird thing about it too.
Yeah.
It's like she's not terrible. She's
No.
really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And she's sitting there and can't by herself and can't like get the puck is like not normal.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So when he does this as trying to protect her, and you notice maybe this is what it is. He's new and he doesn't know her as much as he should, or he has a certain different background because the rest of the guys are like, Connie be fucking us up, so we leaving her alone. She got
And
this.
she took care
know
of
what
it
I mean?
after,
She
right?
did.
Yeah.
She's like, I appreciate it, but I got this. So I really like that they gave her agency and that none of the girls were treated like little flowers. They
Yes.
literally treated them like they were on the everybody was
And when
on the
other
team.
people didn't, they did that on purpose almost, right? Where like when Julie came in the first Iceland game and she went out there and they went and hit on her and she just like kicked them in the balls and then got kicked, like ejected from the game. Like
Yeah.
that was a great moment for her too, where you're just like, hey, this is wrong. It is telling us as kids, like,
Yeah.
no, she's a badass. And it's probably why I like the Little Giants too. It's like a similar kind of idea.
Yeah.
There's still a
Right.
lot of tropes and it is still like not perfect. It's not perfect feminism by any means, but
No.
we didn't
But it
have
was
that
pretty
in the
damn
90s.
good. It's better
Right?
than some of the things we even get now.
Yeah.
And I do like the fact that they didn't skirt around race either.
Mhm.
Just in the first few minutes of the third movie, you see Julie, Ken, and Knuckle Puck Dude. They're
Russ.
talking, Russ, and Ken corrects something
Kenan
about
Thompson.
Asian culture right away. And Russ speaks about like being black multiple times in the movie. I did not like in the second movie that they just randomly have kids from South Central randomly
Guys,
just
I've
playing
never
knuckle
seen
puck.
I've never seen anyone in LA, never mind South Central LA, playing hockey.
Yeah,
So
They just
there
don't.
it is.
right. Yeah, to whoop, there it is. Like it was very an interesting take. And then like we're gonna teach you, and automatically the kids were scared of them. I didn't like that either because
Yeah.
they just look like kids. Like,
Yeah.
So that I was like,
Yeah.
And maybe that's what made me not like Russ.
And they're
because
gonna show them how to fight.
Right.
too. Yeah.
Don't like that either. You've
Yeah.
got the Bash Brothers on the team. They could have taught him how to fight.
Yes.
Mhm.
So that I'm like, ugh. But other than that, I didn't feel like even the alcoholic lawyer part is probably the most egregious thing where I was like,
Yeah. And Bombay, Gordon and Bombay, 2 liquors.
That's how they came up with his name. The writer was trying to figure out what to name him, and that's what they came up with.
Do we know what the darker like script was before? Because I know it was like based like the writer like really liked the Bad News Bears, and so was like
Yeah.
was he just trying to make the Bad News Bears and
He's
then
he said there weren't murders or anything, but there was some adult romance.
there's a lot of fucking.
There was
Oh.
a lot of fucking.
There's a lot of fucking, a lot of drinking,
The DUI scene was always a part of the script,
and that's why Bombay was kissing every woman
right?
that like shared
It's
a scene with him.
as much as they
He's like,
gave
"Oh, this must
thrill.
be what you're here for."
The humor was initially muted and dark, but after it was picked up by Disney, they were told flatly, it's got to be funnier. Don't disagree.
Do you think this is why it kind of hit because it was almost mismatched? Because when I watched the first one, it's like, yeah, there's some weird topics, right? Like he's got a DUI and there's like it's like they pulled out the like Sports Illustrated, which I'm guessing was probably originally like Playboys or something, right? When they did that scene. And it was really trying to, because I know Sandlot had that vibe of like these kids aren't as kid-like as you think they are. They've got
Right.
like, right? And then in D2 when which was kind of a really weird scene actually, when they go to Rodeo Drive and they're like watching the models
Yes.
and it's like, look, I get, what are they, 11 at the time? And so maybe, but it just was like really strange and awkward and
I just think
uncomfortable,
that it was
but
the 90s. Like
Yeah.
all of our
that's all it was
movies,
about. Yeah.
all of our movies.
It's like it
Like
needs sex. The movie
the
needs sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and that's it.
yes, like the fucking movie Milk Money. I used to
Yeah.
love that shit. I watched it again. I was like, I was really watching
A
a
prostitute.
Porn. I was
prostitute with
watching porn.
children.
But we got some fucked up sexual
Oh,
things right in our heads, and
yeah.
it's like
Right.
the amount of times that like I talk to people about what we watched on MTV when we were like 13 and how it's like really fucked up a lot of us where we think certain things are sexual as millennials. And I think like every generation deals with this, what the media like throws at you when you're 12 and you're
Hmm.
like, "Oh, damn." And yeah, this movie's I guess a product of that, right? Like in the
Yeah.
early 90s. Like the amount of God, what was that? I was 8 in 92, so I was 10 in 94. And yeah, I had a crush on Julie and Connie. And then even the teacher too. I was just like, oh, this is doing something for me. And then he kisses her, and so it like clicks in your head as like this is a
Yeah.
thing that we're supposed to be like into.
And I
So
love getting on the teacher or the tutor lady. I love, love, love her in this role, like
she's great.
seared into my brain. And then Danielle and I recently did Stir of Echoes, and she plays the wife. And it is the worst role. And I don't want to say it's her. I think it was just what she was given. But she was so whiny and made all the wrong decisions. Like it was so hard to watch. I'm like, take us back to ancient Rome, please.
She's
Like,
Law and Order, right? She was on Law and
Yes.
Order
Yes, she
forever.
is.
And like I didn't realize it until I rewatched it. Like right away I pegged her, but like when I watched Law and Order, it didn't click with me that it was her.
What was it? Criminal Intent? I think that version with what's his name from The Cell,
So
from
I
Men
want
in
to say
Black
Sucky, and I'm
once,
like, his name's not Sucky.
Men in Black one, and then also DeGraffio, D'Onofrio, I'm getting close.
Vincent
Vincent,
D'Onofrio.
thank
Oh,
you.
okay.
I was like,
Jackie was
Men
just
in
watching me
Black.
struggle.
I thought in my head I'm like, are you talking about Daffy Duck? And you're doing like an Elmer
Uh,
Fudd?
duh,
Like,
duh.
Space Jam. Look at us, just connecting
No.
stuff constantly.
Well, Les Averman revealed that he initially auditioned for Fulton Reed in the first movie.
The
He was,
redhead.
yes, he was one of the bigger kids, so it made sense. But the producers decided to have him try Averman on for size, and the rest, as they say, is history. So I think they did the best, like, because he
Fulton
did
was
not get bigger, so it
Fulton.
would have
Yeah,
been super weird.
yeah. Are they supposed to be like teenagers on this team? Because in D2, they get their own room and they are like a head and a half taller than the other kids with like 20-year-old guy muscles
They
and
make
like,
they make a comment about Dean
yeah,
saying when they first introduce him, they're he because I think Bombay is like, is he an adult? Like, so they at least mention
yeah.
it.
Well, because in the third one, when he takes off his jersey,
Woo!
by the way, one of my favorite scenes in D3, but I'm like, he was like a full-grown man
Yeah,
pretending to be
How
with
old are these
like
people?
muscles and like a full like like and like this is a man pretending to be. Is that why he was only brought back in like the third? It's not a quarter
like
because there's three.
Period.
Thank you. Like the third period of like the final game is when he shows up because they're like, we can't pass him off as a high schooler this entire movie.
well, I don't think they would have cared about that. And I say this because in the third movie, they had the actor, the guy who played Cole was played by Michael Cudlitz, and he's only 2 years younger than Emilio Estevez, and he
Oh.
was a high schooler. So he's 12 to 15 years older than the rest of the kids in the film. So they didn't care about that. I think it was just to build suspense, or maybe Aaron Lore had another project, but I know Adina Menzel is a very lucky woman. He's a
Mm-hmm.
90s icon.
Mm-hmm.
He was the singing voice of Max in the Goofy movie. Gotta love Aaron Lore.
Oh yeah.
That's why I got
Um,
his jersey.
so
He was
I
also
just
in Newsies.
needed to know, but yeah, so Dean Portman was 16 when D1 came out.
In
And
real
so he
life.
was 18 when D2 came out, and he was supposed to be playing an 11-year-old or 10-year-old. And then in D3 he was 20, but he wasn't in that movie.
He was
Um,
at the very end
At the
of
end,
oh
stuff.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's right. And then Portman or Reed was like only a year younger than, so he also was like ridiculously old for playing in Pee-wee. Like he shouldn't have, but they just like let him, which is
Well,
wild.
Because his slap shot, it was it. 1 in 5.
Yeah, no
right.
one did a birth certificate check on him.
Somebody
They're
was
over
talking.
here making sure Banks is on the right side of the lake,
Yeah.
but
Right.
no one looks at Dean Portman and goes, "He
Uh,
drove to the rink today. Can somebody
he's
like?"
shaving.
Yeah.
He has a 5 o'clock shadow.
We also didn't, we almost didn't get Banks as well, or Vincent LaRusso as Banks. Originally, he was cast in a lesser role as like the Hawks, bullies, but he actually got promoted because there was a child actor that they had and was cast, but he was fired because they said he was an absolute nightmare. I want names, release it. I want to know
Me
who it is.
too.
As we sit here talking about how we need to be nicer to kid actors, and you're like, "Tell me who that fucker was."
I just want to know. I'm curious.
Just tell
Uh,
me, okay? I won't tell anyone
Yeah, we're
just
else.
not gonna.
whisper it in my ear.
We won't say
Oh
anything.
man.
Yeah, it's just between us. Us
Does
pals.
anybody know anything about the driver in the first movie that they hired? Because something else I noticed on this rewatch, which I'd never noticed as a kid,
I,
but like
I'm curious if it's the
Bombay
same
gets
thing I noticed.
fired. Bombay
Right?
gets fired, and then this guy is like practicing with them on the ice. He's
Yeah.
on
Yes.
the bench at the end. He's still the driver. I think he got his
I
own
think
jersey.
I think
Also,
it
all the
just was
parents have jerseys.
severance.
Okay.
Severance. I think the $15,000 was paid up front and Bombay did what he had to do. And he was
Okay.
rich. I mean, or he had to have
Yeah.
some money
Yeah, he was a lawyer,
saved.
right? So you got to, and he was still getting a salary too up
Yeah,
until the time he
Yeah.
got
which
fired,
is
which is
wild.
wild. Yeah, like especially at the beginning too. I was like, this is weird, and he hates kids so much,
Yeah.
and we just decide to like, all it takes is just one moment for him to be like, oh yeah, I love hockey, and now I love kids.
And
But no, the
Hmm.
driver is like celebrating with them in the end. He doesn't
yeah.
have another line in the movie, but he's in 17 scenes. And
Damn.
I'm like, all right, whatever.
He doesn't have a family of his own to like go home to. He's just hanging out with
No.
the ducks.
Just hanging out with kids. Yeah. The weird bearded guy
Yeah.
hanging out with kids.
And $15,000 in 1991 is equivalent to $35,696 today.
15, how much again?
It will,
Say that?
Ducksworth gave Gordon $15,000 to sponsor the Ducks.
Right. How much is it worth now?
$35,696.
Oh, that inflation is
So I
crazy.
was gonna make a comment which totally makes sense now, but I noticed how like, all right, they got all these jerseys, and then at the championship game, I was like, the entire crowd is donning Ducks jerseys and
Merch.
Ducks hat, and I'm just like, where is this merch money coming from? But that makes sense.
That's where Bombay made
I
recouped
was
his
like,
money.
dang, and that's why there's so many on Amazon that we can buy.
Exactly. It's still Mr. Ducksworth's money. Well, and also Gordon gets the 15 grand and then immediately takes the kids to Han's shop. I'm like, this is kind of like
And it ended up being for all of them $700 or so. I think
8,000.
8,000. Okay,
Yeah, it was like
okay.
7,000 or 8,000
Yeah, they
is
give
what
us
I
the
mean,
cash
hockey
was.
equipment is really expensive, and they
Yeah.
had nothing,
Yeah.
which is, such an interesting thing. We talk about, the cake eater comment and like how we're definitely talking about economically, there is a very poor group of kids on this team. I mean, they're wearing football helmets and like, I'm pretty sure this is just my memory, and it's probably wrong, but like a pot and a pan, like on the, like they
Yeah.
had nothing. And that's why Banks coming on this team was like such a big deal. But yeah, all of a sudden they had money.
Well, I think, and I think that's why in some sports you don't see as much diversity. It's by design, right? Like you don't really see like
100%.
it's just now you're starting to see more diversity in hockey itself. But
Yeah.
like the idea that there were never black players, if you really look into the history, especially in Canada, like the game itself was kind of, I don't want to say created, but like a lot of black players early on had a lot to do with the sport. And you don't
Mhm.
hear about that. You don't learn about that in history. And a lot of it is money, like
And that's
figure
probably why they
skating
weren't playing in South Central too. Like,
Yeah.
or the Trinidad and Tobago team having a full on, first of all, they're not wearing the colors of the damn country.
no.
Secondly, I don't think if you can't find a close up of any of them actually skating. I think they just had white players in there and they just made sure they didn't shoot, and then you just had black players back there.
In
Like you can't
the
tell me any different until you prove it. And then they had steel drums. Like that was offensive to me being from a Caribbean family. Like, give
yeah.
me a fucking break. Yes, we like to have a good time, but I don't know if they would have steel drums in the penalty box or wherever the hell they were with the
Yeah.
team. Like, come on. It's super weird.
Well, and I think I read like Trinidad and Tobago doesn't even have a
They
hockey
don't.
team. Like,
Well,
That's why
no.
it was such a big deal when Jamaica had the bobsled team because
yeah.
it's just
Right.
like they do not do winter sports. It
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
even make any sense. But again, it's like also financial. Like you have figure skating, gymnastics, golf, tennis, predominantly white sports because there is a lot of money to like get
To play
courts
them.
to get,
Yeah.
Yeah.
keeps a lot of people out, I
Mhm.
think, by design.
Oh, 100%.
But
Um,
imagine how many kids played hockey after this. These movies
I
came out.
really want to be. Oh, well, that's why I started playing hockey. Like this
Oh.
movie, 100%. The amount of times that I tried a knuckle puck, which doesn't work, by the way. That's not how that works at all. Like you
Physics.
can't. The puck does not do that. Like, and yeah, this movie really inspired that. Right. It also inspired me during sleepovers to try to put whipped cream, or not whipped cream, shaving
Shaving
cream on
cream.
people's hands. Like I tried that shit. It doesn't work. People usually wake up when you try to do that. Even when you first put the shaving cream on their hand, they're gonna wake up. Come
Yeah.
on.
They don't scream in a country accent. I was like, what is that?
Oh man.
It's
Um,
great. It's great.
it'll come back to me.
So the writer wanted to be Gordon Bombay, so he wrote his role and he was bummed that he didn't get to play it, but the studio felt bad, so they threw him a bone and gave him a bit part. So he plays Frank Huddy, the beleaguer. I can't say that word. What is it?
Just say the
Beleaguered. Okay.
prosecutor.
He plays the prospector
Oh,
whom
yeah.
Bombay routinely beats down in court, at least until he gets busted for DUI. He actually was pretty good. I didn't know that
Yeah.
was
Yeah, I
him.
think something else I noticed, I think that Emilio Estevez might be the worst actor in his family.
Yeah,
He's
and
not good,
he
guys.
really isn't. And
He
when I
doesn't
look,
emote.
no. And when you look
His
at him, I just see his dad, so like that
Yeah.
brings some
He's
warmth
got
to
some
it.
pretty bright blue eyes. It
He
was
does.
pretty wild. The scene was it him and the Icelandic woman
Hmm.
where it was just like bright blue, bright blue, bright blue, bright blue. And Gwen and I are watching this, it's like, holy shit. And she was like, did they like color correct that or change stuff? Because it was just a wild scene of like the brightest blue eyes you've ever seen. But the part where he makes his money, I think, from an acting standpoint, is when he has to like get real and rally the kids around stuff. Like, so in each
Hmm.
movie, when he stops and he gets vulnerable and he's just like, we're ducks. Like, whenever he does that in all, well, in two of the movies, where he just like gets like real emotional and quiet and like gets them to like believe in themselves, he's good there. He's
Yeah.
not good in the rest of the movies. Like, I don't believe him. I don't think he's listening from like an actor standpoint. When people talk to him, you're like, that dude is an actor. Like, he's acting right now. Like,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
trying to because he's not like having a conversation with someone and listening. So,
When he, yeah, like even though Charlie Sheen is like an abysmal human
yeah,
being, the worst,
His comedic
he
he's
timing.
good. He's
he's good
good.
in drama, he's good in comedy, he's just
Yeah.
better at it.
Yeah.
But where I think Amelia does shine is being really grumpy, which makes me wonder if that's just his personality, if we're saying that he can't act, because I did
Maybe.
watch Game
Yeah.
Changers. I watched the first season
Okay.
because there was a Mighty Ducks TV show, which is no longer on Disney Plus
Yeah, two
because
seasons, right?
what was it, Jackie? Write-off, attack write-off?
Yeah, so because it underperformed so badly and Disney was losing so much money with Disney Plus, they used it as a write-off, and so they can't air it anymore. So
So
I
he
know.
constantly has beef with Disney. I don't really know what the dealio is. I didn't dive deep into it too much. But so he was the coach in the first movie, in the first TV show, and had Lauren Graham, and it was cute. And I think it did feel like the essence of the movies. I think they
Hmm.
did a pretty good job. I very much liked it. And then the second season, they brought in Josh Duhamel, and I was like, I'm not having it. I'm not having it.
I used to like Josh Duhamel,
I
but
used to too, but not. I don't
yeah,
really care either way, but
yeah.
I what I'm waiting for is this. There's going to come a
D4.
point for Joshua
Please.
Jackson to like, a lot of people, like a lot of actors, when they have kids, they always want to do some sort of kid movie. I'm waiting for
Where
him to
he's the
get into that
coach.
bag because his daughter is still like a maybe toddler under 4, I think. But when he gets there, I think the most sense makes that he takes over. I don't think Coach Bombay has to be in it. It would be nice. He could be like the Hans of it all because in the
Sure.
TV show he owns like a hockey
Rink.
rink.
Yeah.
It's run down. He's run down. He's living like a slob, and
Very Mighty Ducks
he
vibes.
gets
Yeah.
back to his life or whatever, like
Yeah.
to being better. But I think he does do like a Hans thing. He's the coach. Joshua Jackson needs to take over,
Hmm.
needs to move, like he moves back home and he sees that he wants to go back and give back or whatever, and he becomes the coach. I
And
think that's how you take it over.
and you do a standalone movie because you know you can get in. You're gonna have all of the nostalgia for 90s kids who are now adults going to
Yeah, it's
Right.
not,
see that
you're just done.
movie.
Yeah.
And then if it does well, then like sequels or
Continue.
into a TV show or something. But you test it with that standalone movie, and I guarantee it will at least,
Especially now with
yeah,
like,
Yeah,
I would totally go see a Mighty Ducks movie.
because
If you
$100.
just called it and you call it Ducks, right? You don't do the
yeah.
whole like D4 thing. You just
Yeah.
say like Ducks. And it's like, oh,
And I think he's primed to do it. And I think a franchise that we can look at is the Karate Kid franchise and
mm,
how they did
the,
that TV show was
yeah,
actually legit, really
really
good.
good. Really
So
good.
good. And they just did a movie. And the reason I think that movie is like Karate Kid Legends, and I don't think it did well because they didn't go to the original formula of what was at the heart of the movie,
Mhm.
which sucks because they finally had a Karate Kid that was Asian, which was like, duh. But Joshua Jackson was in it, and I was like, bitch, you doing this, but you won't like have me do
Yeah,
a Mighty Ducks movie?
Yeah.
I don't know if
I
that's his
get
choice or not.
I get what you're saying too about him having a toddler now, because I'm in the middle of writing a book and I've been pulling at like staying focused on it. Imagine a guy with ADHD struggling with focus, but mostly because I want to write a children's book because of like my daughter now. Like
Mhm.
understand like you start to change like, oh, what do I want them to witness and what do I
Yeah.
want them to see? And it's like, oh, I want to write a book for when she's 5 or 6, and so that it makes sense for her. And I could see an actor doing a similar thing where it's like, I want something that she can like see and be a part of while I'm doing it, and or at least like something that I'm like doing for her.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense to me.
Well, I'm waiting, Joshua. I think he said when they did the Time magazine interview, I don't know what year it was, but he said he really thinks there needs to be a Mighty Ducks 4. But then in the same breath, he did not show up for the Game Changer season 1 episode where when a few of them all came as a reunion. He wasn't there. So I don't know.
Well, wasn't he doing that awful TV show at the same time, the Basic Instinct show?
Oh, I didn't watch that one.
Girl,
So
I watched it. I was hoping because Joshua Jackson, love.
yeah,
Lizzie Kaplan, love.
love.
Like it, and it was tough to watch. I got through
Oh,
it, and then it was canceled. I was like, oh, thank God I don't have to watch season
yeah.
two.
Whenever that kind of stuff happens, I always blame the writing because there's so many other TV shows like The Affair,
Yeah,
Fringe that he's been in that he's really good. So,
yeah.
He's a good actor for sure.
yeah.
Um,
Well, okay.
so anything else from the first one we want to touch on before we pivot to?
I think I said,
Uh,
oh, I didn't know this was a thing, but they they called it the Oreo line.
I hated that.
Did not remember that the first 100 times I watched it as a kid. And
mm,
probably as a kid, like ignorant me was just like, I love Oreos and didn't think anything more of it.
Yeah.
But like, holy crap.
yeah. Don't love that. When I was
No.
younger, I got called Oreo a few times. Didn't love that. Not in the slightest. So, yeah. Boo.
Yeah.
Fun fact that about the first one, the Ducks and the Hawks are the only teams in the entire film to have both their names and numbers on the back of their jerseys. The opponents only had numbers.
Huh.
Cutting down on budget. I don't know.
What I do have a favorite line from that movie, and it's when the bullies, the Hawks bullies, right? One of them runs over to Banks after they like, fucked up his arm or knee. I forget what it was in that movie that where he got hit in that one. But he's just like, oh no, and he went to like and he turned to the other kid and he says, what did you do? And he goes, my job.
Yeah,
And
that
like just
was
skates off.
evil. I'm like, oh my God. That was a lot.
Damn. All right. Anyway, that was it.
And I think in the second movie, I don't know if there's anything else besides, well, the Iceland team was made up mostly of stunt skaters from Minnesota. And
I
let's
do.
see.
It just baffles me, and I know we touched on it a little bit earlier, that they brought in like Luis Mendoza, who's a great hockey player but can't stop? Question mark.
So weird. And then the first thing, Coach Bombay really didn't do much to help them get better. They just start playing. Because like, wouldn't that be the first thing you start to work on?
Yeah.
Is to incorporate them into the team, but also let me get this star player to be able to stop.
Yeah.
Also,
He
why
re
does he get to be on a team if he doesn't know how to stop? Like, this is
I'm
going back to
telling
what I
you,
was
it's
saying.
wild. Yeah.
You get, we're not gonna have tryouts. We're gonna just take this like group of misfits from Minnesota, and then we're gonna add these other 5 or 6 players from around the country who aren't that good at hockey, sans Julie, because it's like this kid can't stop. Oh, this kid's an ice skater. That's what he does. This guy just lassos people, and like this
And then we
guy's
have one that picks
19.
fights. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so none are good at hockey. None of them are like talented at hockey. They're okay, but they all have this really fun gimmick that you can exploit. Like,
Yeah.
wild.
Although I
I
do,
also I think there's got to be rules about doing figure skater jumps in the middle of a game.
I don't think it would work. Like, so much of it doesn't work. Like, even the flying V, they kind of show, and really they're pointing out that the coach of the Iceland team is coaching by like
right.
scouting them, knowing what they're doing. Like the fact that he says shooter and he's like, we're gonna go for this one, and this is what they do here, which isn't really hard to do if you watch any of the games. You're like, oh, this is what they do, so we're gonna stop it this way. But the flying V isn't some like magical thing.
Right.
It's really dumb and doesn't do anything. Like it doesn't set up where your players go, like nothing. There's
Yeah.
nothing special about it. And like it's literally the thing that like saves them in two of the movies. You're like, it's just not real.
And
That's
once
not.
they do it once, aren't all teams anticipating them doing the flying V at some point to
Right.
like defend that move?
It's like Bombay, he's the worst.
And
He's the worst coach.
well, so the
It's a bad
only
coach.
time I see Bombay coach is at the very end of D2 during the shootout, and he tells Julie he's going to
That's
go
it.
glove.
Yeah, I know this guy. It's like, how do you know this guy, first off?
He's fancy. He'll go glove. And she's like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she's just like, "Okay."
But Connie does call out the coach. She's
Yeah.
like, you didn't watch any game tape. You didn't tell us nothing. Like you didn't coach us. So I do love that.
hmm it's still just so unbelievable. And to go back to your earlier point, like the work ethic around this, to to just expect that these kids are going to win. Even the first game is the first movie. It's unreal, right? Which we can all get behind because it's a movie. But then the second one, you're like, oh, we're gonna go to the Junior Olympics, and they didn't practice, and he doesn't coach, and I'm gonna, you know what? For the last 2.5 days we're here, we're gonna practice a little bit, and I'm gonna coach better, and then we're gonna win.
And
And it
then
just is unbelievable.
and then Charlie, once he gives up his spot to Russ and is now like captain slash coaching, he does the alley-oop play from
Yeah,
when they
draws
were
up a
playing
play.
street ball was like his big
Which
Hail Mary.
which so many things could have gone wrong with that, which it does because
It does,
Adam
yeah.
trips
Falls.
Yeah.
or is
Gets
hit
tripped.
whoever.
He
And,
probably gets hit, let's be real. Like,
yeah.
But also in all the there is never a moment in both the first and the second movie where Charlie is given the C as captain. Like no one says that, and it's not even talked about until the third movie.
Well,
Then he
Because I
says,
so
"My
don't even
C."
think, look, this is him in the first movie. He has no C. This is him in the second movie, no C.
so Adam is the captain in the second movie. He has the C on his jersey. And at the
Oh,
end, when they win and they're skating around, he hands the flag to Charlie, which is like signaling that Charlie's now the captain.
still don't make sense. So
I'm just
you
saying what
I
Still
mean,
never
like,
on that
tells
jersey.
me.
yeah, because
Still never on that jersey.
Adam should be the captain. Like, I don't know if the best player is always the captain because I do think Charlie is the heart of the team, but
Sure.
it's such a random transition, and it's also weird to me that we get to the third movie and he is literally the most concentrated person.
Mhm.
But I think what happened is that Joshua Jackson didn't want to come back for the third
Yeah.
movie, and he didn't like the script, so I think they went back and forth. So I think that's where it led
Hmm.
because Adam, I'm sorry, he's the best player. I don't know.
Going back to Charlie being the heart of the team, yes, but I think Fulton Reed is also the heart of the team. He is the one that it will do anything to protect his team members because
But he doesn't
before
want
that,
to be the captain.
no, he didn't want to
No.
be the captain, but like before Gordon Bombay found him, he was just kind of like a loner and stuff, and he found
Yeah.
like a home with the
Family.
Ducks.
Yeah.
And it made me really sad because like, and especially so in the second one when he became friends with Portman and like had a bestie now and someone to hang out with and that understood him. And then through the whole third movie, it's like he's alone again. And I'm like, justice for Reed. Just like give him a friend and not angsty Charlie that's trying to get him to quit school.
Right. But when I going back to the captain thing, when I think about the first movie, I think it made the most sense that Jesse would have been the captain
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
also Charlie's personality was very shy. Like he was
Yes.
cool with the other kids, but like captain also has to be in your ass about stuff or
Yeah.
has to tell you, be a leader. And I just felt like his personality was so timid in the first movie, and it's like a kind of a balance. I felt like
The,
Jesse is the person that everybody was listening to and following
the
in
only
nuance.
reason that someone would think that Charlie was the captain is because they watched the movie. Because in the movie, there's scenes outside of hockey that are making Joshua Jackson the main like actor of the kids.
Yes.
Because
Right.
in hockey terms, he's not. So what you're saying is 100% correct. He has the side story with his mom. He has all this stuff that make him the main actor in the movie,
Right.
but he's not the captain of the Ducks.
Yeah, he's
C
not
was
the
for
best
main
player, nothing.
character. The C wasn't for captain, it was for main character of this movie.
There it is.
I
Well,
do really love when Charlie's like bitching about his C and Hans is just like, I got a whole drawer full, I'm here. Like, what does it matter? Like if your kid
right,
Yeah.
still listens to you and believes that you're the captain, then you're the fucking captain. Like what's going on?
right. It's like in Friday Night Lights when old boy got hurt and he was the captain and he still came back, was on the sidelines, like in his wheelchair helping the team.
I mean,
And
I
that's a
believe
true
you.
captain.
I've never seen
You
that. So
still, you know what? You really do need to watch it. It's a really, I mean,
I'm
you said this,
sure I would
it's
have
really good.
appreciation for it now because living in Texas and like driving by high school football stadiums that look like
Real deal.
professional
Yeah.
football stadiums.
I
Like,
can't remember if it's season 2 or season 3. That's a little rough. I think it's season 3, but
yeah. Okay, D3. Any thoughts, comments, fun facts?
The thing that I had the most about D3 was how like it literally went from reduce, reuse, and recycle.
Mm-hmm.
And where it's like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, right? It's just a game. And the second one, remember where you came from and where are your roots. And the third one, pick up the trash. And it was like I get it's all about defense and like that was their thing and it is this like growing up stage of and I liked D3 a lot. Like and I think it might have been because I liked the first two.
yeah.
I that happens to me a lot where I overlook the quality of a movie, but I think it had just like a darker, I don't know if dark's the right word, darker tone or like a more like mature tone to it, or it was
Yeah.
supposed to. And it really was in the beginning, like calling them out on how they were immature. Like that was kind of the whole thing. Like it's time to grow up.
Yeah.
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 Which I think they needed. I actually didn't mind the new coach because
It was
we
great.
already have talked about the holes in the plot when it comes to Coach Bombay. He's taken them as far as they
As,
could. The
as
kids
he
gave
can.
as
Yeah.
he could, right?
Right. And
He
now they have a coach
a
that
real coach,
actually coaches.
a
Yeah.
technical coach. I think the kids gave Coach Bombay a little bit of that child wonderment. And I think he gave them stability, love, and he believed in them. If
Mhm.
you were, some of them had parents that were like really about them, and some of those kids didn't. And he was the person that believed in them the most, and they would challenge each other. And I think that was really a great foundation for all of them to come together. Found family is always just like a really great theme. But with this other coach, you realize he wasn't hard on them because he just wanted to be a dick. Like they weren't living up to their potential.
Right.
And I think I think about the teachers I've had, they've been the kind ones, and then the ones who ride my ass who really made me believe in myself. And I think that was a great element to add if you're adding a different coach. Stark, more of a grown up too. Like when we find out about his daughter and everything like that, it gives you more perspective of someone who's not playing around like Coach Bombay.
It's a more mature movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But my biggest thing that pissed me off was that Brandon Adams wasn't in this last one. He did
Yeah.
return because the character was written out saying that he moved away, but it was because the actor himself reportedly chose not to reprise the role. Possibly due to script changes or his career shifting, but they reduced the role in the early drafts, and that was a factor. He's like, I'm not coming back. As he shouldn't. Because
Yeah.
Russ I would have been fine without Russ. I'm sorry. If I had to pick between him and Keenan,
Agreed. Yeah. But
just for the movies, not the actors themselves.
right. Well, and you did say like in D2, Russ was more of a caricature of like what you would assume like a smart mouth South Central player would be. Whereas in D3, he started speaking truths to all of these very
Yeah.
entitled trust fund
Yeah.
babies at this prestigious high school.
So
Yeah.
this high school was in Minnesota. All these kids just go into this high school in Minnesota, like, is wild. Like that.
Yeah.
So from Maine, from Texas, from South Central is just not,
Realistic.
I don't know.
Well, they had
I know,
dorms,
yeah.
and it was a prestigious school because so I can imagine the parents saying
I guess
yes,
I
and
just
they
didn't expect. I guess I didn't come in contact with these types of schools in my upbringing, but
yeah. I knew a lot of kids that like really went to
Went.
boarding school essentially,
Yeah.
and it was
so
normal
it's
for
basically
them.
what it was. Okay.
Yeah. But Julie does make a comment that her dad said if she doesn't like it, she can come home. So at least
Yeah.
they made it seem like this
Yeah,
isn't out of control. But
for
it's
sure.
a prestigious school that I'm sure is like a pipeline to like a Harvard, or
Yeah.
just their hockey program is a pipeline
Yeah.
into going to other big ones. So I don't think that's the worst thing that they put in
That's
there.
fair. That's fair. This might be, I wrote this because I realized by this point in the trilogy that there was something that was missing for me, and that was, we're gonna go back to the first one for just a second, but how the scene where Banks's dad is friends with Mr. Ducksworth,
Mm.
and so they're involved in this whole thing about getting him back on the Hawks. And how do we never hear from Banks's dad again? Because are you not apologizing profusely for the fact now that your kid went on a team that won that championship, right?
Mhm.
And the coach sent his players after your kid
Yeah.
and injured your kid. And then he gets to be in the Junior Goodwill Games because of Coach Gordon Bombay, and then go to this prestigious high school, all because of that moment that you almost fucked up, and we just don't. I need an apology from this man. I need this man to be like behind Bombay, like getting him water throughout things, just like praising him.
I don't think he like honestly, I don't think he would have apologized for real. Maybe they would have
Sure,
had they would
I
have had
want
maybe
it.
a talk. But I do think that like it's because Adam's like, look, I want to play hockey. I think he had a conversation
Yeah,
with his dad and said, I want to play hockey. So his dad kind of
sure.
backed off. But I can't imagine men like that just letting this slide with
Yeah.
Bombay in the first place. And then secondly, there is a scene where
Admitting that
Adam
they fucked
had
up.
Yeah.
there's a heart to heart with Adam and Bombay in the second movie after he hurts his wrist and he's worried about like making his dad proud. Like that's and I like that they had the parallels with how
Yeah.
Coach Bombay had his relationship with his dad. That was a nice moment. But I truly believe in the third movie, knowing where Banks is from and how his parents have money, that he would have been going to the school regardless.
Yeah.
But would he been playing hockey? Because apparently you don't try out for these teams. You know what I mean? Like that's also the wild thing is that like no, we just take an entire Pee Wee team for our JV squad.
Well, I
But
think that was the first time they ever did it. And I think it was publicity. They needed good PR
oh
for the
man,
school or
it's so
something, which
funny.
is so weird for a very elitist school that have
Well,
had this.
Yeah.
like we go to the writers' room and they're just like, these questions probably came up, right? Where someone was just like, how are we going to send the entire Ducks team on the same hockey team? And they're like, oh, it'll be a PR stunt. And then that was all they said. And they just moved on, which is fine. I get it. But
The kids aren't going to question it. It's fine.
I did. I love your
Uh,
background too, Jackie.
Oh, thank
I
you.
keep note. I just
Dean.
noticed notice they're changing. Like,
One thing that's cool is that the dorms that they stay in is actually the ones they use for Dead Poets Society in the third
Nice.
movie.
dope.
That's like, huh, Robin Williams was here. That's all I would say.
I like too how they also all the things that we've been kind of poking holes in for the other ones, like I'm gonna just specifically Goldberg being a shitty goalie. Like I do like how they kind of tied that end in the third one by like
Yeah.
making him not the goalie because he's
Yes.
just not as good. And it was pretty obvious to anyone that watched the first two.
And his solution is to make Julie overweight.
Yeah,
He is the original Katie to the Regina George of trying
Oh,
to make her gain weight.
it's wild.
He gave her a Caltine bar if you missed it. Why
Goldberg.
why didn't we need to talk about why Emilio Estevez was only in the movie for a small portion of the movie this time around. So apparently by this time, by the third movie, he's over it. And so he's only his shooting schedule is limited to just 1 week. And I guess when he refused to be involved in the oral history piece that they did on Time magazine, but everyone spoke of him fondly, but they said that there was a sense that by that point, Estevez thought that he was above the film and didn't like to be defined by it. But
That makes sense.
and he used his entire salary from D3 to make his passion project, The War at Home, which came out in 1996. And it was well received by the critics, but it brought in less than $50,000 in the box office.
ooh,
So I guess
lucky
he got over
beans.
it because he was in that the first season of the TV show, but then didn't come back for the second one because I think they were having issues. And now recently, I think he was on a podcast and he said he wrote a fourth Mighty Ducks movie, and it's supposed to be an all-girls hockey team,
Love to see it.
which I think is great, but also I loved how inclusive the
Yeah.
movie was. Just add more girls, add a black girl,
Yeah.
because we didn't see one of those. But he's got beef with Disney again.
He
Fair.
seems, I mean, again, knowing his family, I can just make
Right.
some assumptions about this guy, but it does,
A
it
little
feels like he
tumultuous.
doesn't like.
Tumultuous. Is that
There is this thing, and look, as someone that lived in LA for a while, who've met some amazing actors, and I would say most of 99% of the actors that I met are hardworking, amazing people. There's always the one in the room that is too good for things
Mm.
and is too good for people and has this kind of, you know, stuck up view about the entertainment industry and holds themselves to this thing of like what they should be. And I don't fault anyone for looking at this as art instead of just entertainment. Like
Mm.
it's something I learned a lot from moving to LA is understanding the art of Hollywood. But then there's people that look at it as just the art and like turn their nose at things that aren't art, and I wonder if he has that as being from a family that I thought you were just pointing to his face.
I know. I
Just
was like,
now
what's
and going
happening?
I was
art.
turning off my
That's
fan. Sorry.
art.
I mean, not wrong.
But
But
yeah, yeah.
being from the family, right? And really the nepotism behind who he is, and probably having that feeling of needing to prove that he deserves
Right.
his career. He probably, I mean, how many people make films, and we've heard of actors making, like, whether they're cheesy or, slapstick or kids movies that they're not proud of because for whatever reason, and it feels like he's that type.
But I also think it's not just him and the nepotism of it all, or I do think it's kind of cyclical. If you look at people who have like crazy rises and they become really big,
Hmm.
one thing that you do notice, it's cyclical. Like it happens every time that you think you're too big, and then 10, 20 years later, you're at the con circuit.
Yeah.
You're in the convention market. And you eventually when the money dries up or the roles dry up, you're not too good for anything. So it's always
Mhm.
the actors I think that end up doing really well are the ones who don't take themselves too seriously or
Embrace
don't,
what got them their
right.
career.
Oh yeah, or embrace the fans.
There's something that's popping in my head about D2 probably because we watched it last night. But when Jan goes to his fancy, you know, Beverly Hills spot that he's
Mm.
been given, and they talk about it, and so then Gordon goes and roller skates in Santa Monica probably, and it's just like having that moment like at sunset and like figuring out like who he is and why and all that. And then the next day they play a game and he doesn't show up for the game
Oh, I forgot about not showing up.
Yeah, I was like, how long
is
is it taking you to
wild.
find yourself? Like,
Wild. And that he just comes in with a duck call and like Miss McKay is there and like
Change it up.
right, which was great, right? And she coaches the first period and it's like this whole thing, which is great. But they should have done that earlier because like if she's not there, they forfeit. And
Yeah.
he
right.
runs in with the duck call and they're all like, "We fucking lost you, asshole." Like
Yeah.
and they're just so quick to forgive him, which it
They're kids.
that bothered me. But that bothered me so
Well,
much.
and they're so mad at him. Was it the first movie where they
Well,
No, it was this. It was the first movie where they refused to play because he was
yeah.
being sarcastic and they overheard him saying they were losers and they didn't deserve
Oh
to
no, that was
lose.
the first. That was the first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it
yeah,
was
yeah.
like that was another thing too where like Charlie and Fulton were the only ones that showed up.
Yeah.
And it's just like all of these circumstances where they potentially have to forfeit games because of like
At least in the first one, this was before he had his like moment of
yeah.
like realizing it was still him being an asshole, and that caused him to like maybe look at himself and go like, "What am I doing? These
Yeah.
kids are, willing to give up this, which doesn't make sense to him." But in the second one, I showing up late, like what was he doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought it was the same day he was talking to Hans. I'm like, they couldn't have this conversation later. Like, I was confused by
Well,
that.
even if he had the conversation, he went and rollerbladed and then like sat there and was like, "Man, what am I doing?" But like show up on time. I don't know. It just was like it was so selfish. There was so much like at stake because they had already lost a game. So that would have kicked
Yeah.
them out of the tournament. And it was never really for me like I would have been so pissed as a kid if I'm playing and knew the stakes, and then he shows up with a duck call. It wouldn't have
Yes.
just been it because it was just like they were mad at him for being Pat Riley all of a sudden with his slick back hair. Like
Right.
that's what they were mad at him for, and for going on the date with the Iceland chick. But like that was
Agree.
not
Yeah.
the biggest problem. They almost got kicked. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
I would have understood if one of the newer kids like cussed him out about it. Because the older kids are like, the old ducks were like, we're used
yeah,
to his BS. But the newer
yeah,
kids would have been like, what is this? Like, that's so
yeah,
unprofessional and I'm not
Yeah.
cool with it. Like, it should have been a conversation. Like, it's okay for adults to make mistakes,
yeah. But he has
but
to, yeah.
there should
But
have been a
own up
conversation.
to it. Yeah. And
Right.
be like, I
But
almost
also, he
think you
wouldn't have
should.
been late. Like,
Yeah, or
Yeah.
call called down to
Someone, yeah.
yeah, and
But
say
like
I'm
while finding yourself, you also realize like, no, maybe we got a game in an hour. I should get going.
right.
Yeah.
If he had called the teacher and she was there as the coach and the kids would have been like, what is going on? Coach Bombay
Yeah.
called me. That would have been responsible. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they just I don't know. They dropped the ball
But
with
also,
that.
I have a question. Do hockey teams not have like assistant coaches?
They
So
do.
they do. Yeah. He didn't though, up until that
No.
point.
And that's
Yeah.
why I'm like,
Charlie was his assistant
it really
coach.
Yeah.
was. Because like it wouldn't have even made sense if he had an assistant coach there. Maybe the chauffeur from the first movie.
Yeah,
It's still
Just been
there, right?
like, I kind
But
of
I
know what
think
to
that was,
do.
again, when they're writing this movie and they're just looking for moments, right? They're like, what would be fun? And it would be fun if she coached the team for a period because he was late.
Yeah.
I just think they could have done that maybe when he was like late because he had a commercial he was shooting. Like
Yes,
that would
that
have
would have
made
fed
more
into
sense.
him being an a-hole, like if it
Yeah.
Right,
happened
because
before.
yeah, but that really was a moment from like a movie standpoint that I was like, this doesn't make sense. And
Yeah.
and so anyway, I just had to mention that.
Well, we appreciate that take. That's
Yeah.
very true.
Yeah.
But before we get into our present day ratings, Ron, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on social?
Yeah, you can follow me at ADHD underscore Ron on Instagram, ADHD Coach Ron on TikTok, and then you can just go to ADHDRon.com, ADHDRon.com for all my stuff. For stuff for coaching, you can find out more about my podcast, and if you really have any questions about ADHD.
What's your podcast again?
So I have a podcast called I Forgot to Tell You Something.
Like you
And I'm
almost
also,
forgot to tell us about the
yeah,
podcast
right.
name.
And I'm starting a new podcast that's gonna be starting this year called Daydream Believers. Or no, I'm sorry,
Ooh.
Daydream Achievers. We just came up with it. So
Love it.
yeah.
Ooh. And what's that one going to be about?
So that one's gonna be about not necessarily. So I forgot to tell you something is all things ADHD and really life with ADHD. Daydream Achievers is about finding people that are trying to find unique ways to achieve their dreams, or at least finding ways that their daydreams inspire them to do things in their careers. So we're looking for more. We'll have some entrepreneurs on the show, some solopreneurs, and then me and my co-host are going to be talking about just different ways to take things that distract us throughout life and use them to kind of move forward with what we're trying to do.
Ooh, nice. Well, definitely check out Ron. And if you have any commentary about this triple dose of fun, sure you check out No More Late Fees on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and Threads, and Blue Sky. And Ron, we're going to start with you. Now that you've rewatched it with a fully developed brain, yes.
Yeah,
What would you give the trilogy?
but I'm going to give it a. It's hard. I want to go between 5 Day Rental and Would Buy It Again because I kind of want to own it, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so it is in there, but it isn't this like the best would play on repeat. It was super fun to watch again. I can't wait till my daughter's of movie watching age. We will totally watch these movies. I think really, as much as I did like the third one, it's really the first two for me that I enjoy rewatching.
Yeah.
So,
So which one is it?
5 Day Rental.
Okay. Jackie?
For D2 alone, would buy again. I just love it. Like, there are just certain movies, and I don't remember like sitting down and watching it as a youth, but I know every word. So
Yeah.
obviously, I watched it a shit ton, and it was super fun. And I love the Bash Brothers. What can I say?
Yeah. I mean, yes, we can, looking back, was it corny? Yes. But it still makes me, like I said, giggle and happy and joy. It just hit a time that just stays with me. That nostalgia really does hit. I don't know if I would feel the same if I rewatched it and didn't watch it a million times growing up, but it
Mhm.
is a would buy again for me. Like it even just like you said, Ron, even if I'm not watching it every day, I
It's
need to
fair,
have
yeah.
it in my
I feel like
collection.
out of four, it's like a 3.5 for me, which is,
Yeah.
it depends on
Yeah.
which movie. I think if I
Yeah.
was to give each one, I would give one I would give two a without a doubt, would buy again. And the first one is kind of in between, and then the third one is a 5-day rental.
Yeah. Surprisingly, I think the first one is one of my favorites. I do like the darker tone to it. I don't know, like the
Yeah.
second one does get very Disney-esque,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and I do like the contrast between I think the the first and the third one are a little bit darker, and the second one's very
Yeah.
lighthearted.
Yeah.
So it's a good balance.
Thinking of things like I remember when I watched it with Gwen, she wanted to turn it off when the credits came of D2, and I said absolutely not because I
Best
need
part.
to like it would be weird if I didn't mention, but like I still like sat there and got the like almost tears in your eyes, where your eyes start doing this thing, like watching it because I'm smiling so much, watching them do the marshmallow scene and singing "We Are the Champions." Like I remember watching that over and over again. I remember when I played sports, like wanting to sing that when we'd win stuff. Like
Yeah.
that just it makes you feel good, and I just that alone is a rewatch is a would buy again for that scene. So
I definitely, because I think I was 16 and one of my wish list items was Queen on CD, their greatest hits.
mhm.
And I always attributed that to like my mom always playing an eclectic round of music in my house. But now that I think about it, I was like, this is where the shit came from. This is why I was so obsessed with like Freddie Mercury and Queen because that was my introduction to this
Yes.
song. And it having two parts, I that always blew my mind that it went
Yeah.
into We Will Rock You. Like, mm, classic.
Love it. Well, if you have nostalgia for the Mighty Ducks trilogy, hit us up at our quick drop 909-601-6653. Twat us at the Twitters, have us at the threads, Butterfly in the Sky at Blue Sky, and you can be featured on a future episode.
And join us next week as we head to Riverdale with Josie and the Pussycats.
And Ron, an absolute delight. We are
Yep.
so happy you're with us and that you will be purchasing a jersey.
Yay. So much fun, you guys. Always.
Yeah. And thank
And as always, ducks fly together. Be
quack, quack,
kind
quack, quack, quack,
and
quack, quack.
rewind.